Okay, we have actually made it to the Pokemon League. It's been so long since I made a video, but sometimes I just get carried away in these games and I feel like there's too much noise through it. Like in Arceus, I did spend a lot of time actually recording for you guys, but I think I should just show you what I've done at this point. I managed to farm myself a Golden Go way before I reached the league. I heard a lot of people actually got this Pokemon completed only after the league, although those of you who spent time farming would have definitely got this earlier, so fantastic Pokemon. So when it comes to team building, I just want to show you guys a little bit of how I've been spending time team building. And so let me just park this Gimmighoul somewhere else. So I've sorted out some of these Pokemon based on what I intend to use them as, and also how I intend to whether they are viable for me or not. Now, because the base game does not have the doubles format, you rather just go hyper aggressive or stall. It's one of these two things. And all of the support abilities that that the Pokemon have, like Helping Hand, Heal Pulse, all these things are completely relevant in a one-on-one format. And so there's a lot of skills that you really don't have to spend time, looking for, and you can just spend time on the basics of the game. Now, one cool thing that I've realized about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, this one is Violet, by the way, but yeah, so for Pokemon Violet, basically, I see a lot of Ghost Pokemon. Um, and a lot of what do you call this? I think fighting is still less. It's mostly ghost types that I see around. Yeah, there's just a lot of ghost Pokemon, and they're very common. They're in like a lot of the time when you go for trainer battles, at least one of them is a ghost type. So it's super nice to have Pokemon that can counter them. There's also plenty of steel types available, and not so many fairy types. So if you want to have a fairy type in your team, I highly recommend something like Gardevoir or Sylveon. Yeah, these are basically the better ones. I also have some other options such as Azumarill or Tinkaton. Mimikyu is not very good because Mimikyu is a better Pokemon for the doubles format. It's not a very good Pokemon in the singles format, and so you might not want to take it along with you. Tinkaton is fantastic with the Gigaton Hammer, but that allows it to play the role as more so of a steel type rather than a fairy type. And so I've decided not to take Tinkaton with me because now I have Gholdengo, who's arguably the strongest steel type Pokemon in Pokemon Violet. So Azumarill is another fantastic option. It's a very bulky Pokemon. If you have the huge power ability, your attack stat is essentially doubled, making it a monstrous attack stat. It doesn't show it here, but you can treat the attack stat as somewhat of like close to 200s plus maybe even. Let's see if I do have anything else that's around 200. So Garchomp's around 260. It's level 73. So in 10 levels, let's say this is about 130, 140. It can go up to 280. It can have more attack damage than Garchomp. Weakness of Azumarill, it's slower than most of the Pokemon in the format. So if you want to keep it for Trick Room, you can just take the nature that has a lowered speed like mine. I thought it would be fantastic for me to use it in Trick Room formats later on. But for now, it may not be that ideal, I would say. So yeah, I'm just keeping it, keeping my options with for it in the future if I want to use it. Toxapex is another great water type and a poison type as well, which can be very good against fairy types. Unfortunate things about Toxapex is that it's a stall Pokemon, so if you really want to use it for a stall style, PvE format, it's totally up to you. But I don't really enjoy the stall in PvE. Rather just go um, hyper offense and just wipe out the enemy team before it's too late. And so as you can see, most of my team are quite speedy. Gholdengo is really, really fast, now that I realize. Cerulege is also a really fast Pokemon, and Garchomp is also one of the fastest Pokemon in the game. The only other Pokemon that are quite close, I would say, are Salamence. Um, Palmet is pretty fast. Palmet is a fantastic Pokemon. I think it's, for me, my favorite Pokemon so far in Pokemon Violet. Um, but I decided to change up things a bit and keep Palmet away and opt for Rotom and Heracross instead. The reason for this is because I wanted a Pokemon with Levitate specifically, instead of just something that's flying, because I don't find a niche where the flying type Pokemon are being super useful in this. The only flying Pokemon I can think of that would be ideal would be the electric flying thing. Where is it? Let me look for it. Must be somewhere here. All of these, like generally, are so-so. I wouldn't recommend any of these. So yeah, it's totally up to you if you feel like you want to try a Varoom team. Copper Raja, they're all decent Pokemon. Even Chansey and Blissey are not very ideal for this format because, as I said, if you're in a one-on-one, they can't really use most of their useful skills. I didn't really get the Pikachu line. None of them have Volt Absorb, so can't really use them. Electros is an excellent Pokemon. This is a funny one because it has Dragon typing, which means you actually end up having weaknesses. Because for those of you who don't know, Electros has Levitate and it's an electric type, which means it has no weakness. It has monster stats. It's a little bit slow of a Pokemon, but it does a lot of damage and it's a really, really good Pokemon. So I don't know how exactly I can use the Dragon type here unless I'm in a very specific situation where I do want to go to dragon typing. I will add the fairy and ice type weaknesses. But because Electros is so tanky, it's possible that I could use that to my advantage to get something like a stab dragon claw off, and also have some resistances to, you know, all basic elemental moves, right? Because dragon type is one of the best defensive types in the game. So it is usable in some way because Electros, although it has no weaknesses, it doesn't have as many resistance. So dragon typing does give it some sort of advantage. I think this is actually a pretty good Pokemon. Let me keep it closer to my box one so that we can plan if I ever want to use this. Let's see. Um, yeah, I don't really have a line here for the electric types. You know what? Let's do this. Let's move water types there and then electric types here maybe. Yeah, let's just temporarily park the electric types there. Okay, now moving forward, let's see. Could I get any of the other electric types? None of the others are pretty cool. Oh, I did get Glaceon though. I forgot to park this in my EV box. Let's see, who should I put away? Maybe Klefki. I don't see myself. Actually, you know what? Let's put away the Hunkro. I don't see myself using the Hunkro. And let's just put one of these EVs. I thankfully have the EV with the hidden ability. The unfortunate thing about this game is that when you do evolve the EV, because this one is a Terra EV, I got it with the electric type, so it's ideal for Jolteon. But if you were to breed the EV, you can still get the hidden ability, but you'll have it as the normal Terra type, which means you have to spend your Terra crystals to actually sort of change its Terra type to, let's say you want a Sylveon, you got to change it to Fairy Terra. Yeah, that's pretty much the only way to do it. I was experimenting with Garganical, and I managed to get the Ghost type Garganical, which I think is the best one because ideally it's gonna eat up what do you call this? Fighting type attacks. It's gonna eat up normal type attacks. It's going to probably catch your opponent off guard. Although a lot of people do know that this Ghost type Garganical is available somewhere in the map. You might see this quite often, and Purifying Salt means that it's not gonna have its Ghost type weakness because Purifying Salt actually gives it a resistance to Ghost type on top of being immune to status moves. So it's a very, very strong Pokemon, I have to say. Salt Cure, Recover, that's pretty much the only two moves you really need. Although I feel that Heavy Slam and Hammer Arm have been helping me to clear up a lot of enemies before I had a proper Steel type, so it's been super useful. Dragonite's really cool. I got a Fairy type one. Not sure if it's a good way to use it, but I don't have its hidden ability multi-scale, so it'll end up having Inner Focus, I think. And Inner Focus is not the worst thing, prevents flinching, but it's not its best ability. It doesn't really make Dragonite. Dragon is also really bulky. It's a little bit slower than a lot of other Dragon types, but it doesn't hit as hard as Garchomp. It's not as fast as Garchomp. So I personally like the Land Shark, so I'm just keeping Garchomp with me. Frostmoth is also a cool Pokemon because the best thing about Pokemon Violet is that you don't really have to think about the Pokemon's weaknesses. Like for example, Abomasnow has like okay, that's a Colossal. Colossal has like Rock and Fire typing, excellent offensive typing, but it has like I don't know 6, 7 weaknesses. You completely negate all of these if you can get it to change to Water Terra type and run Steam Engine. It's insane because you resist the Water type attacks, you get your Steam Engine running, you still have your Rock and Fire stab, and yeah, you're pretty much a monster. It's pretty scary what this game has done to Pokemon. Like it's really changed the way the format works. And I don't know, I heard that they're going to reveal the Terra types of the Pokemon in the VGC format. I hope it's not true. I hope that they they rethink that, whatever it is, their idea. Okay, Gyarados. Gyarados is also a pretty cool water type Pokemon. I got the one that's flying. I think the water Terra one is probably better. But it has Intimidate, one of the highest physical attacks in the game. A really nice Pokemon. Oh yeah, another thing. Aside from having a lot of ghost types in the game, this game also has a lot of physical attackers. There's a lot of Pokemon that are physical attack heavy. A lot. Like generally all the Pokemon that you catch, I think like 70-80% are physical attackers. I'm not kidding. Like look how many specials are here. Maybe a few of the electric types. The rest of these are all physical attackers. Okay, there we go. We got Wattrel. So Wattrel's evolution, Kilowattrel, is pretty cool Pokemon. Wind Power is nice, but it's supposed to have a better special ability. Let me look for it. Kilowattrel. Mm, competitive, right? Competitive is its hidden ability, and that's probably the best thing for Kilowattrel. If you don't want to use competitive, you can use Volt Absorb. I think it's pretty decent, which makes this Wattrel not very good. I might have one with Volt Absorb. I have to look for it. But essentially, if it has Volt Absorb, it only has no, it's only weak to rock and ice, but it's a good switch in for electric type attacks and ground type attacks. So you essentially have two immunities, and you can heal yourself with Volt Absorb. So it's a pretty cool Pokemon. Also, Magnemite, if you have a Magnezone, and the one with the ability Analytics, is it Analytic? I think it is. It'll be super, super strong, super hot hitter, one of the best special attackers in the game. I want to catch one with Analytic, but I haven't spent enough time with, the Magneton area. But yeah, you get a nice Magneton, evolve with a Magnezone. It's going to be ridiculously powerful in this game. Breloom is also a pretty cool Pokemon. Overall, its base stats are not very impressive. Its rock typing is really great because it allows it to, um, you know, protect itself from fire attacks, flying attacks, fire, flying. Let's think, what else? Bug. Yeah, these are the only things that you're really scared of. Everything else, it's Breloom's offensive abilities is pretty cool. I do have a Technician Persian as well. Technician Persian is pretty nice because it already has like Taunt, Bite, basically good ways to disrupt the opponent's attacks. But yeah, again, singles format, these Pokemon are just not strong enough. Let's see, what else do I have? Yeah, those are the general Pokemon that I have. So in my first three boxes, I actually have kept the slightly more useful Pokemon. I found this Fairy Espatra. I'm really, really keen on using this just because it seems to have such a high physical special attack, and its typing is really cool because it becomes a pure Fairy type. Now, it also has Opportunist. Gardevoir, on the other hand, has Trace, which is the only reason I'm keeping it. I know it's not the best Terra type. I would have preferred to have the one that's Fairy Terra, but guess what? I found a Kirlia that's actually Fire Terra. I'm not really sure how to use this thing because it leaves me weak to Earthquake, but it all of a sudden protects me from Steel attacks, from Ghost types and all of these other things. So I don't mind this, although I would prefer to just have a Fairy type Gardevoir to go pure Fairy and defensively be just a lot more menacing. So I might want to go look for one of the Gardevoirs. I'm not sure, but that's just an option. Amoonguss, you rather have the one with the Regenerator, which is its hidden ability. Also a decent Pokemon. But yeah, anyway, these are the options that I had. So in terms of the team building itself, I was opting between Dragapult and any one of the other dragon types. Actually, let's move you here. So among the dragon types, I have all these four I considered, but I finally settled on Garchomp just because I like the guy. There's also another pretty strong one, which is Frigivax, which becomes what does it become? Baxcalibur? Yeah, it's a ridiculously strong Pokemon. Like that Pokemon is pretty scary. I really want to try Baxcalibur in this game. Ice Dragon type. If you get the one that has the Dragon Terra, it's going to be super super strong. So this Frigivax is not very good because it has Ice typing. You would rather get the one that's Dragon Terra, so you can just you can be more defensive. Noivern's pretty nice. Altaria, I got the Fairy one, also pretty cool. Salaman's Dragon one, nice. And Dracloak, the Ghost one, not really sure if Dragon typing would have been better. I think it would have been, considering how many ghosts there are in the game. But it has Infiltrator, so I could breed it out and see how I can, figure that part out. But yeah, essentially these are the Pokemon that I considered for the first box, which means top tier Pokemon, I would say. I got the Ditto with Imposter, so it's fantastic for breeding, and it's an excellent Pokemon to catch opponents off guard. Skeletor is fantastic, but I was lucky by getting a shiny Cerulege, so I'm just gonna just gonna roll the game with that. It's so cool. But yeah, these are all the top tiers. These are other Pokemon you can consider. These are all, I would say, pretty high tier Pokemon. But you need some of them to have the hidden abilities to be better. Toadscrew is very cool. Mycelium might in doubles, I think it's going to be terrifying, but not so well in singles. There we go. I have the one that can become a Abomasnow. And the Grass type Terra. This is actually a very strong Pokemon. I might consider keeping it in the first team, actually. Because there's no warning, which means it can get um, the Veil ability up, and then it'll protect you from special and physical moves for 5 turns. It's essentially like getting double walls. And so Abomasnow actually very good in both support and offense. If you change it to normal Terra, which you can easily do as well, you completely change the metagame, making Abomasnow so much scarier because you essentially only have to worry about fighting types. Yeah, and if you can cover for that, Abomasnow is terrifying. So yeah, those are my Pokemon. We are going to enter the league discussion here. Let's just save up and we'll continue. Okay, let's do this. Sit on the chair. I, Rika, will be your interviewer. Let's get started with the first portion of the champion assessment. We begin with the interview. First thing first, let me see how many gym badges you have. So this is the cool thing. I actually never defeated the normal gym. As I mentioned you guys, there was a bug where I could never face the normal gym leader, but it still counted that I have the badge when I went to the following gym. Although between the normal gym and the next gym, I actually could not get my Pokemon off that level to obey, which was kind of funny. So it's a strange bug, but now I think all the Pokemon actually do obey me accordingly. Okay, let's see. A few questions if you wouldn't mind. Uh, as you may automatically fail the interview depending on your answers. Let's begin. How did you get here today? I rode on my Pokemon. Very good, very good. School you're enrolled in? Yuva Academy? Right. Brings you to the Pokemon League today. I came to become a champion? Just for fun, I guess? I see. That concludes this interview. One of the staff will let you know the results. Thank you for that champions. Excuse me. What? That's it? How'd that happen? How did what happen? Wait, was this some kind of joke? Guys? Like, what? Was it something I said? Because usually when they say our staff will get back to you is when you know. Regarding the results, sorry to say you didn't pass. There you go. You can take the assessment as many times as you want. Oh, so we actually do have to answer that we want to be champion. Where are you? There we go. Here we go. There you are. Okay. Let's just try it again. Fail the first time. Try again. So it looks like we do have to answer that we're not here for fun. They want us to take it very seriously. Okay, fine. Right. Sure, here we go. Okay. How did you get here today? I rode on my Pokemon. Name of the school, Yuva Academy. I came to become champion. Why else would be here? What do you intend to do if and when you become champion? Huh. I see. Interesting. Which of the 8 gyms gave you the most difficulty? Uh, I don't know. None of them were particularly difficult. Uh, the Medali gym is the one that I couldn't fight. Um, maybe the second last one, I think. Oh no. Was it Rhyme? Oh god, thank god it's by order. Yikes, alright. Which it has to be Ghost, right? Oh, dear god, okay. Building skills need for the champion assessment. A small feat. You must have met a lot of Pokemon to get here. Category of Pokemon you chose to be your first partner. Firegrok? I'm gonna repeat the previous question. I want to find treasure. Final question, okay. You light, of course. This is a strange question. Good job, kiddo. Okay. Alright. So I somehow managed to pass the assessment. We're gonna go through the Elite Four. Okay, this is gonna be awesome. Alright, so once I go in the room behind her, I guess there's no turning back. Just gonna save one more time. Not really sure if Heracross is ready for this. But it's such a cool Pokemon though. I could easily take Palmont over Heracross. You know what? Let's just level up the Heracross. Make it worth it. Sure. Let's just dump all of that. Oh, there we go. It, did I not allow it to use? Okay. Here we go. All 74? Sure, why not? Here we go. 65. Sword stance. Yes. We get rid of Facade. Megahorn. Yes, please. Let's get rid of Pounds. Yeah, let's get rid of Pounds. Close combat, sure. Yeah, I think this is pretty straightforward. Let me keep Throat Chop for sure. Okay. Rotom is the only thing that's under leveled, but I think that's okay. We should be able to use it as a pivot. Do I want to put Will-O-Wisp on Rotom? Maybe I do. Oh well, if you're gonna be locked into battle here, it's kind of pointless. So let's just do the first battle and then see from there. Let's see. Okay, it's Rika herself. Whiscash, okay. Rotom. Right. Whiscash has a what do you call this? Ground typing, right? Or is that? Yeah, it has a ground typing, so I won't be able to Volt Switch. I could neutral Hydro Pump though. Alternatively, because it only has one weakness, it is the same level as me. Let's see. I don't have a very good switch in, so you know what? Let's just go for this. Yeah, that does so much damage. Gonna do a feature sight, sure. Just do another Hydro Pump here. Miss? Okay, gonna hit by Muddy Water and the feature sight that's gonna follow up in the next turn. Okay, got rid of the Whiscash, so that's fine. Feature set hurt, man. Donphin. I think we're fine. Still okay. Should be able to use this to level up the Rotom quite well. Let's do another Hydro Pump. Miss. Okay, it's unfortunate. Stone Age, that's gonna hurt. Yeah, okay. Did we go out with the Hydro Pump? Oh, you know what? It'll be fine. Let's bring Garchomp in. And let's rock this. Yeah, we can take that like a champ. Let's do Liquidation here. 30, sure. We can take Earthquake, Valdi. Do another Liquidation here. Excellent. Duck Trio. Now we are fine. You can just go for another Liquidation. And they really want water Pokemon. I'm just gonna out DPS them, I guess. Camerupt. Fire Ground. Yeah, they really want water Pokemon, huh? Sure, why not? Can do one more liquidation here. 4 times the damage. Clodsire. Poison Ground. Still weak to Earthquake. Unless she's gonna Terra it. It might have Water Absorb, so I'm just gonna go Earthquake here. What are they gonna Terra into? Ground? Yeah, it's Terra Ground. So you lose your weakness to ground, but I don't think it matters. Here we got Toxic. Yeah, it's too strong for this. We'll just wipe through. Protecting. Okay, to delay the turn for the Toxic. Good move. Yeah, protecting singles is just delay the turn, basically. I'm starting to consider terrain setting. Not sure how valuable that'll be. Not bad, kiddo. Go clapping. Not a whole lot of trainers have the skill to make it past the elite. Who knows? Okay. He's no pushover, let me tell you. Bet I will. Wait, I can heal up, right? Okay, I can't heal up. I was like, wait a minute. That doesn't look good. Let's just do this. And that. Go to the boxes. Yep, another box, the bag. I can actually switch my Pokemon too. That's really nice. Get the antidote here. Do that. And let's save up. Right, so this part my audio actually died, so I'm actually going to play the video instead of just run through it with you guys. I think it's going to be a little bit easier if I just commented over it, but this is unfortunate. I would have preferred to keep the original recording. Regardless, I do have the audio from the game itself. I only do not have my voice in any part of it. So let me just increase the game volume up a little bit for you guys. Yeah, I believe you can hear that. So this first bit, I just wanted to switch out from the Rotom into the Copper Raja and bring up, my thought process here was it's most likely going to have some kind of Earthquake move, and so Cerulege might be a little bit risky for me, which is why I was considering, you know what, I probably bring out Garchomp, but then I thought, you know what, Heracross looks really good in this matchup because it can take an Earthquake pretty easily, and it can also retaliate the Steel types with close combat. Now, just so you know, I have not looked up anything about this Pokemon League online, so I'm completely playing this blind, and I prefer it that way. So uh, I don't know if all of them are actually going to be Steel Pokemon at this point. I do bring a Heracross, and this is really cool because this is the first time I'm actually using Heracross in any trainer battle, for that matter. So it's really nice that I'm actually using it all the way at the Pokemon League, and it really shines here. So they do actually lay out stones, which isn't a huge problem if it's, just a one-off switch, unless you keep switching your Pokemon. Close combat here pays off because despite the defense drops, we actually have Moxie, so we gain the attack increase instead. They better send out Corviknight, and I think, should I keep this Heracross, which already has Moxie boost? And I think, would have been a decent idea either way, because I know Corviknight relies a lot on its typing and doesn't really have the greatest defenses in a way. So I thought the boosted Heracross, that's already like what 7 levels higher, should be able to deal what I needed to deal, and it does exactly that. It gets another Moxie boost. So it's double boosted Heracross here. It's really scary steamrolling. This is like one of my favorite early gen Pokemon, so it's really nice to see Heracross getting a bit of a highlight here. It's such a cool Pokemon too. Great typing. Only weakness is really, be careful of flying moves. But knowing that I outspeed most of these Pokemon, I was pretty much safe. Steel Pokemon are generally slow, which is nice to deal with. Magnezone. I just go for another close combat here. It's pretty straightforward again. Magnezone does have 30, a little bit scary considering all the special defense drops that I have. But thankfully the Magnezone goes for the light screen and not for something like Thunderbolt. And I'm able to finish it off with a Throat Chop. I saved the last close combat because I'm actually low on PP. And I did not really boost the PP of my close combat here, which I thought about after this match, but I thought, you know what, we'll just pull through with 5. It should be absolutely fine. Tinkaton is the a little bit scary as well, knowing the Gigaton Hammer threat. And I was wondering what it's going to what do you call it, Terra into, and I thought they might Terra into something else, not Steel type, but they just stay in the Steel type format, which makes it super easy. So they're essentially like just a gym. They're single monotyped Pokemon League Pokemon, which makes it not very challenging. I would have liked it to actually test out a lot of my other Pokemon in my team. So I basically wiped this league, the first league, sorry, this second league trainer purely with Heracross, which is hilarious. But yeah, it is what it is. So they go and call out Mr. Larry, who turns out to be the guy from the Medallion Gym, who I actually never got to face because of the bug that I mentioned before. So yeah, Larry is here. And this time, instead of using his normal type Pokemon, he actually opts for flying type, I believe. So I'm just going to heal up my Pokemon with Ether here. I'm just going to skip through that. And then he starts off with his flying type. He actually goes for Tropius, which is pretty interesting because Tropius means that I probably have to use a rock type move and I don't have it. I decide to gamble on the possibility that I'm faster than this Tropius and just go for the discharge to see how much damage I can do because, you know, singles discharge is a great move. There's a chance of paralysis and a gamble on it. A little bit unfortunate that I don't get the paralysis, but it also goes for a Sunny D at the same time. This is where I had to think a little bit, like, is it likely that Dystropius gets increased speed boost from the sun? And yeah, silly me, I should have probably just guessed it is guaranteed to gonna get the speed boost. Instead, I just go for another discharge to see what the chances are. But yeah, it actually gets a speed boost. It goes for a first in Solar Beam, and then yeah, makes me regret my decision to not switch out the Rotom here. I do get the paralysis on the second discharge though, and I think of the possibility that I outspeed the Tropius now, which is true. I do outspeed it after the paralysis. So yeah, it's kind of scary that I had to face that Sunny Day Tropius first turn Solar Beam. As for the Staraptor, the thing is, it most likely outspeeds me, and I really should have been careful here. I really should not have just gone for the discharge, but this was my mistake. Completely regret it. I would not have done this in a player-to-play PvP situation, but hey, I take these risks in PvE and I regret it, but it is what it is. Over here, I think of some neutral threat because I don't really have Stone Edge on my Garchomp. Something I do, I am starting to regret a little bit, and I don't really have Thunderbolt on Gholdengo at this point. So yeah, I don't really have the greatest coverage for flying types, and I realized that at this point. And Heracross is the worst Pokemon to go up against a flying type matchup, which means I do have to have something to cover its back. I was relying too much on the Rotom, and I kind of regret it here because you know, normally in PvP you want to use Rotom as a support, but then I realized Gholdengo actually has Power Gem, which can completely clean up some of these Pokemon, and that's actually the Rock move that I was looking for. And I was like, if that's the case, I think Gholdengo should be able to wipe this gym, so long as they don't have something very strong against it. I see the Altaria, Flamethrower, kind of scary, but not its stab, so still good here. Continue to go for Power Gems just to clean up this Altaria. And now I just gotta be a little bit careful on what the last Pokemon is. I decided to keep Gholdengo in, face the Oricorio, just go for the Power Gem. There's really no reason to do anything else here. He tries to do a Tether Dance, but we don't get affected because Skull is just broken. Gholdengo is pretty much too strong for this matchup, actually. Flamigo is the last Pokemon, which is a fighting and flying type, I think. So I decided, you know what, let's just try out and see if Gardevoir or, yeah, Garchomp goes for this. I actually decided to go with Gardevoir here. I was thinking of the Heracross just to see if it can handle the matchup. But I decided, you know what, let's not take any risks. Let's go for the Gardevoir here. We do get Scrappy, which is an interesting thing to get. Doesn't really matter here, because, yeah, we're probably not going to need it. But yeah, he's gonna Terra here. He's gonna Terra into Flying. Um, yeah, which is fine for me. I should still be able to just do decent damage with Moonblast without taking too much from any kind of fighting type attack. Unfortunately, it has Throat Chop, which is kind of scary, but thankfully the Fairy typing allows me to take it neutral instead of as super effective. If I was just gambling on the Psychic type, that would have been pretty scary. So we take out the gym leader who we didn't get to fight before, Larry. It's kind of cool. He's also Elite Four, is also a gym leader. Very rare scenario, but it is what it is. I'm not sure if that was a thing in the past, whether any of the previous gym leaders were actually also a league trainer. But apparently Hassel is the last one. And yeah, he's gonna be pretty cool. So yeah, he is the Dragon League trainer. Um, I guess also monotype. Would have liked some variety, but it is what it is. So here I just plan out my team a little bit. It seems like a lot of the Pokemon I have may not do well in this matchup. It's actually, you know what? I do have a good set of Pokemon to handle this matchup. But I'll show you how it goes because some of the dragon Pokemon here could outspeed me, and that was the kind of risk that I had to take. At this point, I think I'd suggest to you guys to have a Tailwind setter in the first turn, instead of gambling on speed ties. If you have Pokemon that are like above 80 speed stat, I think just take something like a Noivern or any kind of Tailwind setter. Like this is the Noivern here. Um, just get any kind of Tailwind setter and what do you call this? To set up Tailwind on the first turn and deal with all of these Dragon types because Noivern is pretty fast and it's also Dragon type, and there's a lot of fast Dragon type Pokemon, so it's really important to be super careful. I take a Super Fang here, which is absolutely fine because it's always going to do 50% exactly. I'm just glad it's on the Rotom and not any other Pokemon. We go for the Thunder Wave here to slow down the Noivern. Now we should outspeed it, which will allow me to go for the Volt Switch safely. Now, I'm not sure whether it's going to go for another Super Fang. I was a little bit worried about it, and I was gambling on the possibility it could be going for a Dragon move instead. So I was thinking whether I want to go for the Gardevoir to block off the Dragon move, but I thought, you know what? Let's just gamble on the Garchomp and see if it does go for a Dragon move. Um, which is why, yeah, I'll most probably be going for the Garchomp here. Heracross, what I was worried about is if it goes for something like, Air Slash or something like that. Heracross might struggle here. It might get one-shotted, in fact. So it is the Dragon Pulse, but Garchomp is a tanky boy, so he can take it. So it wouldn't have much difference if it's a Super Fang or a Dragon Pulse. So I'm fine with it. The damage that I took, I'm not really running any items on these Pokemon because the league is just super easy. Like they should probably do something like standardizing the Pokemon levels to make it, a little bit more challenging. I guess I did expect a lot more of a challenge here, which I didn't get, unfortunately. Even my Gardevoir is not optimized. It's, what, a Psychic Terra Gardevoir? One of the worst ones. You'd rather get the Fairy Terra, obviously. So I'll probably be switching out some of my Pokemon here for good after this, but at this point, I'm just enjoying the fact that the league is super easy. There's no min-maxing needed here. There's no, not even TMs that I used on any of these Pokemon. These are all default Pokemon that I use, so this is a super low budget team. Very easy to make, very easy to obtain. And they can help you in real world and also in these trainer battles. And what I mean by real world is like Gardevoir has Trace. You can totally use that to look for Pokemon's hidden abilities and stuff like that. Um, and get the Pokemon the right abilities if anything. So yeah, those kinds of things that I did. Um, and turns out that carry me all the way to the Pokemon League, making it super straightforward, super easy. Um, Haxorus' Mold Breaker here was a little bit scary, and I knew it's probably going to outspeed me. I don't really have much of a choice, but I'd rather take on the hit from Haxorus than give it a free attack on any of my other Pokemon. I was thinking of switching to Ceruledge, but then I decided, you know what, let's just go for Garchomp here and just do maximum damage. Yeah, so I go for Dragon Claw. I know Garchomp is going to outspeed Haxorus, so it's pretty straightforward for me. Garchomp is huge. He's towering over Haxorus here by the looks of it. It is pretty scary. They're gonna go for Baxcalibur, which is the new dragon type Pokemon. A little bit intimidated I was by this, but then I thought, as long as we outspeed the Baxcalibur, we should be able to do fine. But if it gets to retaliate, we might be dead here. So I decided to just Terra here to get my water defensive type up and go for Dragon Claw in case Excalibur doesn't die here. I guess. So there we go, the Water Terra. Something I'm glad to have found this Water Terra Garchomp is a great investment. I would have liked to have Rough Skin, but I'm fine with whatever ability I have. I can fix that later. Especially now that I've done the league, I heard that you can actually get the 5 or 6 Terras, which apparently increase your chance of having hidden ability patch or something like that. So they go for the Dragon Terra, but Dragon Claw actually one-shots this Excalibur. Yeah, a little bit sad. I would have liked them to even out the levels just to see how close of a matchup this would have been. It would have really showcased the Pokemon and made me play a lot more seriously. But yeah, at this point, I'm just taking the game too lightly, too straightforward, and really nothing for me to fear here. It's just a very, very, you know, straight up match. I would say the one that came after this is actually more challenging, and that's kind of cool. I'll show you. So after defeating the Elite Four, apparently there's this thing called the um I don't know, some Ultimate Champion or something. The Ultimate Champion. Okay. So yep. Congratulations. There's a third champion assessment. Door back there. She's called I don't know, some other kind of champion, I guess. But essentially, I thought this would be like fighting Red, you know, like from early Pokemon games. Red was really challenging, by the way. But yeah, here it is. Just gonna take a look around us before we head off. Final test for the champion assessment. So I just prepare my team here and then I go for it. So the final one is actually Geeta. And she's like, measure of your talent. Let's see, here we go. She's gonna come out. Top champion, right? That's the name. Top champion Geeta. Yeah, okay. So let me just up the volume here for you guys. Become champion yourself. Sure. So she actually has a Spatra, which is a really cool Pokemon. I like the showcase of the new generation Pokemon here, especially the cooler ones. I think Spatra is a pretty niche Pokemon. Lumina Crash is a really great move. Um, you know, very decent neutral attacking ability, which is Psychic. But doesn't do really well against a lot of defensive type Steel, Dark, and even it's weak to Ghost. Not very ideal, but it's a pretty decent Pokemon. So I just will switch here just to see if I can put myself in a better spot. I really want to go Ceruledge here because I know I can take the Lumina Crash most likely and just retaliate with Shadow Claws all day. I'm just worried that the special defense drop is something I'm going to regret later on. But yeah, it is what it is. I go for a Shadow Claw here. Goes for a Lumina Crash. I do take it, unfortunately. Special defense drop. And we clean it off with the Shadow Claw. So Espatra is actually ridiculously fast for a Psychic type Pokemon. It's like close to Alakazam levels in terms of the speed matchup. I'm sure Alakazam outspeeds it though. It's gonna send an Avalugg. I decided to keep the Ceruledge in. And my only fear is if I don't kill this Avalugg, I might have to eat an Earthquake. But gambling on the level defenses, I think I could take an Earthquake here because I'll heal up. This is why I really like Ceruledge over Armarouge. I mean, I never got access to Armarouge, but I like Ceruledge over the fact that you're essentially just healing yourself throughout the matchup, which makes Ceruledge have incredible self-sustenance. Like, if you can't kill it, it's always going to heal up. And that makes it really, really strong in 1v1 matchups especially. I think in 2v2s you could double focus it down, but in a 1v1 you don't have that opportunity. And you can just keep it on the field all day. So I decided to keep it to face the Kingambit, and I'm not sure whether I outspeed it, but I just tried anyway. Said, hey, you know what? There's nothing to lose. Thankfully, I do outspeed it. I don't kill it, and Kingambit actually has Supreme Overlord, which apparently boosts its power based on the number of fallen allies that it has. He goes for the Kowtow Cleave and really totally one-shots me. Shows the sheer power of this Kingambit. But I remember that as long as I outspeed this, it's not really a threat. And I do outspeed it for most part. So I'm actually going to bring Gardevoir in here to see what happens in this unfortunate matchup, where I also get Supreme Overlord just to play the gimmick. And I found this really cool. So I want to see how much damage Moonblast can do. Apparently enough. So Moonblast is actually neutral damage against the King Gambit. Um, and I decided to keep the Gardevoir in because I do have a single Supreme Overlord boost, which is 10%. It's not much, but I decided to see how much damage it does with the Mystical Fire. Cool thing here, Go-Go actually is tanky enough to survive. Of course, the fire move is not a stab for me, so probably Moonblast might have killed it. But with the super effective damage and Supreme Overlord, I thought it would die actually. So it's kind of cool that Go-Go is tanky enough to take it. So I guess it's actually a pretty strong grass Pokemon in terms of its bulk, which is pretty cool. Last Pokemon is Veluza. I decided to keep the Gardevoir in to see if I can Moonblast this Veluza down. Veluza is kind of scary. Mold Breaker is not really the main concern here. It's more so its Fillet Away, I think. One of its abilities, which really boosts its stats. But it goes for Liquidation immediately instead of the Fillet Away, which is great because that means that it's not going to outspeed me the next turn. It's just going to eat another Moonblast and die. A critical hit just to rub salt into the wound. And yeah, we clean up Geeta here. And she's going to send out Glimmora, which is the last Pokemon, a Pokemon I've never really heard of. So it looks like some new Pokemon. I've never really seen it before. I had a feeling whatever it is, I should probably be able to showcase Garchomp here in the last bit. So I just brought it in. And it sends out Glimmora, whatever that is. And so I see this thing and I think, does it have Levitate? Because it looks like it's levitating, and I thought, you know what? Let's just gamble on the Earthquake. And here's the funny bit. She's actually going to Terra this thing. And I was like, okay, what are the chances of her Terraing it into something that's weak to Earthquake? And guess what? It's a perfect guess. She Terra'd Rock. And I don't even get to see what it does. But all I know is, when it dies, it has Toxic Debris. Apparently it scatters spikes around. So that's an interesting ability. Scatter spikes when you die, or yeah, or it could be when you get hit though, but I don't know. Actually, depending on the order of whether it died first or it scattered it first, I think I could tell. But yeah, whatever. Glimmora, Pokemon that I think I'll be able to find eventually in the game if I look hard enough. There we go. We defeated the Elite Four. Super nice. And this guy just keeps crying. That's their joke, apparently. It's okay. The writing in this game is subpar. I would say nothing really impressive. The story so far has been also pretty bland. Nothing really too amazing. The really cool part is the investment they put in building the world itself, the exploration bit, all the cool little mechanics, the quality of life stuff. That's where the game really stands out. The story is really not where it stands out, trust me. So after this, we get challenged by Nemona, who's apparently also another champion, who also beat the entire Elite Four and Geeta. So she's called Champion Nemona. And so here I, yeah, end up in a basic rival, I guess, discussion. But here's something funny that happens. Nemona is going to ask me where to battle, and I actually pick the the worst locations or something. And she's like, yeah, it looks kind of ordinary. Maybe some other place. I'm like, how about the Treasure Eatery, I guess? And she's like, yeah, I gotta think of it because of the gym. Um, and then she's like, you have no choice but to pick Mesagoza. So I'm like, what? Okay. So what's the point of giving me choices? But I guess that's what the game does. Just very linear in terms of decision making. Um, Yeah, she says see you there, but wait, okay, wait. Where's the part where I actually irritate her? Oh yeah, okay, okay, this is the part. She actually asks about being rivals for life or something like that. Um, yeah, Yumi, this is amazing. Be rivals for life. So I go hard no, and look at her expressions. Watch her become the psycho bitch. Okay, you'll be my rival, won't you? You mean rivals, yes. You mean rivals, yes. You mean rivals, yes. She's just not gonna stop. It's an infinite loop. Like I do have to just deal with it, I guess. But yeah. Uh, it's not a choice-based game. This is just a, what do you call this? Text simulator, I guess, where you just end up in the same path anyway. Um, yeah, it's a bunch of other no's in between the game that don't really, they're not real no's anyway. So I save up here. I head to the town. This is where there's a little bit of lag. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna speed up this thing for you guys in some way if I can. Just give me a sec. Alright, so I'm just gonna head forward towards the Nemona battle. It's my all-out power, she says, versus strength and nutrition. I really like this cool little walking scene where we're just walking into our respective spots to take on the battle. This is really, really cool. The way we walk past each other to the center of the circle. The scene was done really well. The music as well is super cool here. Um, and I think another thing about this game is the music was just superb. It's been absolutely amazing. And as I said, the exploration bit where you can actually go to the rooftops, you can go, in caves. There's always something to find, something to see, and all that combined with the amazing music really highlights this game as being really, really cool. So yeah, Nimona champion battle. Let me just reduce the volume here so we can focus on the battle itself. So Lycanroc is the first Pokemon. Pretty cool Pokemon. I'm gonna go Rotom here and see if I can just Hydro Pump this thing. The only fear I have is Lycanroc probably actually outspeeds me. Um, but yeah, I just gamble on it a little bit. We're gonna go straight into the Hydro Pump, and if I miss, it's gonna hurt. Thankfully, it goes for Stealth Rock turn 1, so I don't have to take Stone Age or something like that and just die. We do go for a Hydro Pump. We get it off in turn 1. We do manage to KO the Lycanroc, which is nice. Um, so yeah, it's our first Pokemon. Apparently she helped us in type matchups. I don't remember which part that was, but must be somewhere in the game, I'm sure. Um, but yeah, it is what it is. Oh yeah, Earthworm. Earthworm is another cool Pokemon that I saw. It's a steel type that's immune to ground. It heals up from a ground attack, so its only weakness is like what? Fire, fighting, essentially fire and fighting. Yeah, those are the two weaknesses it really has. Kind of cool. I send out Cerulege here. I decide, you know what, if we have to eat an Earthquake, we can probably take it from the Earthworm. So yeah, here it is. I do get the stones poking into me, but I know I'm going to outspeed this Earthworm, so Bitter Blade, here we go. So this is a mistake. I realized I should have probably gone for Sword Stance here and just set up because it's probably not going to kill me. And the cool thing about Cerulege is that if you know you're not going to die, you rather always Sword Stance because your attack heals you. So yeah, now that I think about it, you know, if you know you're not gonna die, you should always Sword Stance. And the following turn, as long as you outspeed the opponent, you always, get a hit turn 1 and heal up and you're back to full health. And you can just repeat that, essentially getting, +4, +6 really, really early on. So Earthworm goes down. We do eat the ground type attack. She's gonna go for Gudra, at which point I'm just gonna decide, you know what, let's just go for the dragon type matchup. And let's just show why, Garchomp is our good boy here instead of whatever it is she has. So we send Garchomp out. She sends out Gudra. We're gonna take the Stone Tiger Champ. Doesn't really do anything to Garchomp. Dragon Claw is gonna one-shot the Gudra, which is really nice. And then here's a cute thing. The next one is actually Palmont. Which, yeah, I remember it's actually one of her Pokemon. I really like this Pokemon. It's one of my favorites. They're level 65, which means as long as you're above that, I think probably closer to 65, you might enjoy this matchup a little better. For me, it's just, I just Earthquake and kill these things. It's very straightforward here. I gotta showcase my shiny, I gotta showcase my Garchomp. Dunsparce is, I think, evolved Dunsparce, so I decide, you know what, let's bring Heracross back. And let's see if we can deal with this Dunsparce here. So this time, I do the right thing. I treat the Heracross like, what do you call this? The fact that it could probably tank some attacks here. And so unlike what happened to Cerulege, I'm going to Sword Stance the Heracross. So here we go. Get the Sword Stance up. So as long as we survive, we are in a great spot because we outspeed, this Dunsparce. I hate this thing called Hyper Drill. This is a move I've not seen before. It does quite a bit of damage. This is an interesting looking move. It actually has better animation. But yeah, we go for close combat, get rid of the hidden spars. I would like some of these moves to actually showcase like some symbols, like close combat could have some arms flying out, something like that. I don't know. Some better animations, I guess. We get the Moxie boost, uh, and Meowscarada as the last Pokemon. I decide, you know what, we'll hack the what do you call this? Heracross here, because we don't really outspeed Meowscarada, and we don't have many Pokemons that can outspeed Meowscarada, so we rather let's see what Meowscarada does here, and then we'll decide how to go about the matchup. It's probably not going to go for a grass type move. Uh, and I was thinking, would it Terra to grass? But you know what? I thought, let's just go for the close combat in case it doesn't Terra. But it does Terra, and her Terra is most likely going to be grass here. So here we go. Terra, and it goes to Terra grass. And this means I should have stuck to Mega Horn, but it doesn't really matter because Masquerade is always going to outspeed us. It goes for Play Rough, which is an interesting set of knowledge that I have now. So it has Grass type, Dog type, it also has Play Rough, and it outspeeds us. So as long as I don't lock it into Flower Trick, I thought I was in a good spot because Flower Trick is always going to crit, and it's a Grass type move. So Garchomp's not very good against that. A lot of the other Pokemon take it neutrally. Gholdengo is the only one that resists the Grass type. So I thought, you know what, let's send a Gholdengo. It's probably going to go for a Dog type move here, and I think the I could have taken that, but it goes for Shadow Claw, which I don't remember and did not expect. Because Shadow Claw is actually super effective, and I don't resist it. So at this point, I was a little bit scared, but I thought, you know what, let's just see what Maky Rain does. And it does so much damage, but not enough to kill the Meowscarada. And at this point, I just had to do some basic math, and I saw the damage it did is not enough to kill me in the next turn, so I thought, you know what, let's just go for the Make It Rain. It's not going to kill me with the Shadow Claw. And yeah, forcing it to lock into a non-stab move was, I think, the best decision we could have done here. And yeah, we easily defeated the Meowscarada. If it was a stab matchup where it went for neutral grass attacks, I think that would have been terrifying because I think Meowscarada's crit with its stab is going to do more damage than the super effective Shadow Claw. That's just my math. Um, yeah, it's probably what I thought it was. This is a very weird scene where she just posed with the wind for a while and everyone's just like, huh, what? Now I thought she was gonna cry or something, but she's actually just super hyped about it. This is actually incredible. You're the strongest out there. And can you see my character is like actually terrified with this reaction? He's like, this is not normal. Like, is she okay? But yeah, she is full on psycho. It is what it is. I don't know. I don't really like Nemona as a character. Nothing really compelling about her. Nothing interesting. There was no true, I would say, good rival moment, which makes you question whether you can like the rival. Because in all the other games, you have things like Gary, who is straight up someone you hate, and it's so much easier to deal with. But when you have a rival that you're forced to like, it's a bit of a bug here, visual bug. But yeah, when you have a rival that you're forced to like, and they're so cringy, I don't know, it's just weird, I guess. Like this game is like the god of cringe so far in terms of Pokemon. It's really been the cringe fest in my Pokemon history. So it is what it is. We're just gonna showcase our profile here. So 16 badges, which means we didn't complete all of the Team Star quest, which is what I'm probably gonna do after this. We have 260 Paldean Pokemon caught, 337 battled, which I think is a really good stat. So I think that's like what we've caught about two-thirds, actually slightly more than two-thirds. Um, yeah, slightly more than two-thirds. So we got about 70% of the Pokemon, which is really nice. And we did that even before the league. So I'm pretty proud about that. I think a lot of the other Pokemon we can just evolve along the way, but I don't know. I'm not really particularly completionist in the Pokemon game because you always have to trade and that's a feature that I'm just not very keen with. I'd rather just play single player, honestly, and do my battles on Pokemon Showdown. It's just a lot more fun that way because it's really nice when you're training your Pokemon and you feel like, you've trained them really well to take on an opponent. But when you go to these, VGC type battles, you realize that all the opponents are using rental teams of perfect shiny Pokemon. There's really no I train my own Pokemon kind of feeling there. It's like you're bringing up your own school of actually homebred Pokemon versus a full import team of perfect, oil money Pokemon of some sort. So yeah, I really do not enjoy taking my actual in-game bred Pokemon into trainer battles, but I wish that the in-game battles were a lot more challenging. But the game is not over. I'm sure there's a lot more things for me to explore. I'm sure there's more challenging battles out there. But I would have liked to know perhaps that the league's level is like an average 65, so I just could have kept all my Pokemon at 65. Or they should have level locked us down to 60 or 70. That would have made the matchup a lot more interesting, telling us that you have to have all your Pokemon above level 60, and we're going to lock you down to level 60, or above level 70, we're going to lock you down to level 70, and then you get to do this battle. That would have made it a lot more challenging. So here's another cool little stat is I've actually battled 3 shiny Pokemon, but I've only caught 2. So there's actually one shiny Pokemon that I battled that I did not catch or I killed without realizing it was a shiny. That could have happened anywhere along the way. Uh, yeah, but it is what it is. I also got 9 recipes. Not never really got into cooking in this game. Might be something that I'll do after this. Because I heard that it helps you with catch rates and shiny power and larger Pokemon or whatever. So it is what it is. But yeah, that's the game. Thanks so much for watching. That's the Pokemon League. So that's the cool tip for you guys in terms of the Pokemon that I've collected that I think you can find very early on in the game. But in terms of what I have brought to this final battle, I think is it somewhere here that I switch out? Okay, she's gonna bring in Masquerada. Okay, get rid of the Heracross. Sure, so that I can showcase my lineup here. Okay, so in terms of all the Pokemon I have, despite the Heracross showcase, I think the ones that are really valuable are Goldengo, Cerulege, Garchomp, and Gardevoir. I think Rotom really did not perform here, and I think Pawmot might have done a much better job as a good electric type against the flying Pokemon that showed up. However, um, alternatively, for the water Pokemon, I think Azumarill might have done a better job than Gardevoir, because Azumarill would have been the water Pokemon that can tank steel attacks and being a good fairy type. So perhaps that's the two things I would have switched out. Palmet for Rotom and Azumarill for Gardevoir. And I think I would have kept the 6th slot for the Heracross anyway because I like that awesome Pokemon. But there's so many other Pokemon that you can switch to. It's totally up to you. But yeah, this was what it was for me. See you guys. Take care.